Like most girls, this one was also waiting for her Prince Charming, but her fate drags her to meet a scary monster. Far away in a huge kingdom, everyone is preparing for the 16th birthday party of the king's only child, Princess Barbara. All the preparations are almost done except for dressing up the princess, but she is nowhere to be seen. As Barbara is growing, she is becoming more and more rebellious. She spends all of her day reading the adventures of a prince named Edward and believes that one day she will get to marry him. Unlike other palaces, this one doesn't have normal servants but special robots. They all are made by the king, who is a talented engineer. He spends most of his time in the lab designing different robots, but all of them are fueled by a special power. It is a magical liquid that is kept in a secured locker. The king takes it out to fix his robot, and when he is about to put it back, he gets interrupted by the servants who complain about Barbara not listening to them. The king leaves in a hurry and forgets to close the locker. Meanwhile, the princess is hiding in the clock tower and is busy wondering why Prince Edward hasn't written her back for such a long time. Even with just one letter from him, Barbara is head over heels in love with Edward. The king reaches the clock tower and asks Barbara why she is hanging out in such a dusty place. It isn't suitable for a princess. He also scolds her for riding the horse without his permission, as he can't afford letting his beloved daughter get hurt. Barbara is really tired of her overprotective father. While complaining about it, she accidentally drops the adventure book, which gets spotted by the king. He becomes really angry and drives away. Back in the palace, Princess Barbara is getting dressed for the party, but she doesn't like the old-fashioned gown at all. She suddenly hears the motorbike arriving and rushes to meet the postman. Joyce gives her the letter sent by Prince Edward, who can't wait anymore to meet Barbara. The princess gets really excited by reading this, but Joyce has some bad news for her. He has been reading her letters and threatens to tell the king. He wants to marry the princess, but Barbara is disgusted by him. Joyce tries to snatch the letter, but it accidentally flies to the hall. Before Barbara can get it back, the letter reaches the king's hands. He believes that Barbara is too young and immature to choose a man for herself, and he tells her to forget about the prince. She is sent back to her room to finish dressing up, as the guests are arriving already. Meanwhile, Joyce hasn't left the palace, and he keeps wandering around. He reaches the king's laboratory and notices the magic liquid in the locker. The king arrives there and orders Joyce to put back the liquid, which he calls Spark. Joyce realizes that Spark is really important to the king, so he threatens to spill the liquid on the ground. The king offers to give anything in exchange for Spark. Hearing this, Joyce asks for the most valuable, Princess Barbara. The king goes back to the banquet hall and greets everyone. Barbara also arrives, but she has cut her hair and destroyed the dress just to tease her father, but he reveals that the dress was vintage because it belonged to her mother. Barbara gets ashamed of her deed, but before she can apologize, the king makes a shocking announcement. He wants Princess Barbara to get married to Joyce right now. Barbara assumes that the king is doing this because of the dress. She gets really upset and calls her horse. Without a second thought, she rushes out of the palace. Closes the door. Barbara introduces herself and explains that she just wants to meet Prince Edward. After hearing that, the bunny plans to keep the princess to get a huge ransom from the king. Meanwhile, at the palace, the king is wondering how to find the princess. He asks his servant to put a notice in the newspaper, as they don't seem to have any other option. Suddenly, Joyce arrives and reveals that Barbara is kidnapped by the forest monster. He wants to find her but needs the power of spark. The king tells him the origin of the magic liquid. It was 16 years ago when Barbara was born. She was really weak and had mere chances of survival. The king had heard about the legend of the miraculous water, so he set out on a journey to find it. After several days of searching, they finally reached the magic lake, but it was forbidden to get its water. The king was ready to risk anything for his daughter and filled a tube with magic water. As he did that, a huge earthquake occurred, and the numerous rocks fell down to block the way to the magic lake. Spark has the power to bring life to anything. Hearing this, Joyce makes an evil plan and asks the king to design an army of robot soldiers and searching dogs. Back in the forest, Barbara is tied up with a rope and gets dragged around by the monster. She keeps talking continuously about how great Prince Edward is and how he can defeat any monster. Bogey gets irritated and covers Barbara's mouth. She bites his hand, which causes him to fall down in the river. Bunny jumps after him too, but both of them don't know how to swim. Barbara immediately unties the rope and uses it to pull Bogey and Bunny out of the water. She proved herself as the daughter of a great engineer. In exchange for saving the Back at the palace, Joyce is ordering around all the servants. He also supervises the making of the robot army. He even asked for a drone, which he named Steel Eye. As they have no more crystals to combine with Spark, Joyce shuts down the king's beloved robot to operate Steel Eye. The king can't complain as he only wants to get back his daughter as soon as possible. Joyce sends his army to kill Bogey, and Steel Eye will guide them. Meanwhile, Bogey has agreed to help Barbara, and they travel to the other side of the palace to find Prince Edward. Bunny wonders why Barbara is obsessed with the prince, so she explains that she loves him, and it's the most beautiful feeling in the whole world. Hearing about love, Bogey starts to feel it, and towards no other than Barbara. Bunny suspects that the princess may deceive them, but Bogey is not hearing anything against her. As the night sets in, they take shelter in a cave and play a guessing game. Bunny is continuously staring at his friend and realizes the changes in Bogey's behavior. He advises him to give up as Barbara is not her kind. Unlike him, she is a normal human being. Suddenly, Barbara joins the game and mimics Bogey's habits for fun. This makes Bogey realize that Barbara only sees him as a monster. He gets upset and leaves without saying a word. Bunny doesn't follow him as his friends definitely need a little time alone. Meanwhile, he tells Barbara how they met. Bogey used to be a normal human being. When he was a little kid, he got lost in the forest. The weather was freezing and Bogey was about to die, but Mother Nature saved his life. She changed his appearance and gave him the strength of 10 bears so he could fulfill the noble task of protecting the forest. Bogey has been carrying out that mission ever since. After the story, Barbara and Bunny go to sleep. The next morning, they realize that Bogey hasn't returned yet. They step out to look for him but run into a robot dog sent by Joyce. Barbara and Bunny run away through a narrow path and close it afterward with a huge stone. Happy to find his daughter alive, but Joyce is more interested in the magic lake. He wants to use the magic liquid to rule all over the world. The king tries to stop him, but Joyce locks the king in the dungeon and he prepares to conquer the magic lake. Unaware of the danger coming their way, Barbara and her two friends continue their journey towards Prince Edward's palace. After reaching the city, Barbara says goodbye to her friends and tells Bogey that he is the sweetest and loveliest monster ever. Afterward, she heads to the city and reaches the palace. She meets a woman there and asks about Prince Edward, but the reply she gets leaves the princess in deep shock. The woman is the actual writer of the books Barbara read. They all were just fairy tales, and even the letters Barbara received was an auto-reply sent to all the subscribers. The woman reads the notice about Barbara's disappearance and offers to let her stay so she can be sent back to the palace to get the reward money. The woman also advises Barbara to stop believing in love stories, as they are never real. Saying this, she locks the princess in the guest room. Luckily, Barbara's pet robot, Bulby, is still outside and goes back to the forest to call Bogey. Joyce is attacking the forest, but Bogey chooses to help Barbara. He rushes to the city and breaks into the building to rescue the princess. The woman lets them go as she believes it and takes away all of its power. Bunny becomes lifeless as he was also powered by the crystal. Barbaru also feels a sudden pain in her chest and asks the king what it is. The king reveals that he made an artificial heart with spark to save Barbara, and now it is losing its power too. Before dying, Barbara confesses that she has finally got her Prince Charming, but unfortunately, she will not be able to live with him any longer. Bogey can't accept her death and begs Mother Nature to spare her life and take his instead. Barbara comes back to life, but Bogey turns into a stone statue. For the next few years, Barbara keeps visiting Bogey's statue every day and begs Mother Nature to give him back. Finally, one day, Mother Nature accepts her request and brings Bogey back to life. Moreover, he is a human again. True love does exist, but we are blinded by fantasies and don't realize the right person. Not every hero wears a cape and not every prince wears a crown.